Hi everyone, this is Vivek Shrivastava. Welcome to my channel. Today we have for you a very special guest episode. We have with us Devansh Lakhani, who is the director of Lakhani Financial Services, and he is also an angel investor and an expert in the world of investing for startups. So, welcome, Devansh. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of wonderful information and insights for our viewers. So, please tell us a little bit about Lakhani Financial and yourself.
First of all, Vivek, thanks a lot for having me on this show. It's been a long time. I've been a part of a podcast, though we have just done our podcast, show called Level Up. But good to be here and happy to be in front of you and in front of your viewers. So a little bit about myself. I'm a chartered accountant by education. I run an investment banking company called Lakhani Financial Services, and we specialize in helping startups to raise funds from our network of investors. We advise them from end to end, and then of course connect them with investors and raise capital for them. Uh, I've invested in a few startups myself at a personal level, as an angel investor. And since the last 4.5 years, very much active in the startup ecosystem. We've advised 400 plus startups. So that is something about me. I'm a big sports fan, a big cricket fan, and that's a little bit at a personal level. But yeah, that's something about LFS and about myself.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you mentioned you studied to be a chartered accountant. How did the journey take you from being a CA to being involved as an investor and an angel investor yourself? Did you always know you want to be in the world of startups? Did you ever want to be a startup launcher yourself and do a startup yourself?
Look, while studying CA, of course, being from finance world, being a Gujarati, finance and money and investments was always something I was very keen towards. While completing or while giving my final attempt of CA, I always knew I wanted to get into, stock markets, into investments, in some way or the other. Initially I didn't, but eventually I came to know, yes, this is where my passion and my interest lies, that is stock markets, to study balance sheets, do equity research, to understand why the stock is doing well, how to do research on a company, on a stock, meet promoters, meet founders of listed companies, understand their model, create reports, do financial modeling, do valuation analysis, stuff like that. So I was always very keen, and that's what I got into. Once I completed my CA, for 3 years, I worked in a stockbroking company with a research company with corporate finance and investment banking as the mainstays, and got a lot of soft skills acquired out there. I never knew that I wanted to become a founder or an entrepreneur myself. That was very much um, kind of a last moment thing, I would say. When I was doing my job, it just felt like, let me give it a shot with what I can do on my own. And that's where Lakhani Financial Services, birth took place, so to say. That is, start January 2018. And now it's been almost 6.5 years since I'm running this completely bootstrap, and with a team of 15 people, and having raised capital worth 200 million plus, 200 million rupees plus. So that is something that we've been doing. And so entrepreneurship also became by chance. It was never planned in advance. But finance and investment was always something I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about investing in good asset classes, whether it's a startup, whether it's a stock, whether it's a mutual fund, whether it's real estate. So I haven't ever invested in real estate, but I'm just giving. I'm always interested to learn about investing and where I can make money and make passive income,
Right.
make income in a manner where my money is working for myself and I'm not working for the money. So that's the end goal, right? Whether it's a business, whether it's startup investments in the portfolio, stock investments or mutual funds, or hopefully whenever I do real estate when the interest rates are down. But that is something that has always been, something which I'm very much keen, to do. I'm on that kind of mindset basically.
So
So yeah.
great. Tell us about the early days of Lakhani. So when you first started, were you just one person, and did you pretty much have to struggle to find, customers? Or in your case, it would be investment funding that would come in that you would invest. Um, I do.
So when we started in 2018,
Hmm.
LFS was more a retail focused investment management firm, which is into helping individual clients do their mutual funds, the stock markets, handling their portfolios, etc. So we were more into retail focused. Eventually, we went into investment banking, which means helping companies to raise funds, which are big ticket sizes. So I did an SME IPO, I did right issue, I did fundraising via block and bulk deals on the capital market, on stock market worth 50 crores plus. So did all of that, and then startups also just happened by chance.
Really?
It was, yeah. So very interesting story, because in 2019 mid or second quarter of 2019, calendar year 2019, um, when we were doing SME IPOs, there were a few friends or a couple of friends who approached me with their friends who were running some startup, who had just started their business or something. And that time startup was not that big a word, it was a very new word in 2019, first two quarters I'm talking about. Startup word had not really picked up. We just had, of course, your major Flipkart, Amazon, Mintra, Ola, Oyo, Uber, and all the big ones, right? The big boys.
Right.
But that time it was not a mainstream word in the industry, right? So I started getting a lot of referrals. If you're doing your own SME IPO, why don't you help these small companies also raise funds? So when I started talking to the founders, I realized that there's a big gap in raising funds for startups and advising them on their complete investment strategy. Because most of the founders of a startup come from a technical background, from a
Right.
product development background, from engineering background.
Right.
So they don't have finance, investment, business acumen. Until that time, I had acquired at least 5 years of experience in that field,
Nice.
in investments, because even in my job I used to meet listed companies promoters, I used to meet banks, institutions, we used to invest into companies, we used to do primary issue, secondary issue, right? तो काफी कुछ तब समझ में आ गया था कैसा चलता है, what are the questions you need to ask, how does a business run. Of course, startups and a listed company, they are a little different in the way they operate and stuff, but that was a internal fix which I had to do, which I was like, it was just happening naturally. In startups come with more tech, they come with more product driven stuff, whereas listed companies are already established, doing probably 1,000 to 1,200 crore quarterly revenues, you know. So we used to track those kind of companies, do research on those kind of companies, and I have to just put my brains towards how to, help these companies. That's when we started working with them. We helped them with their business planning, with their financial modeling, with their presentations, investor presentation. Guided them on how to, pitch to an investor. What kind of questions will an investor ask, so that you have to be ready with those. What is a unit economics? What are financial metrics like customer acquisition cost, like gross margin, contribution margin? इनको कुछ पता ही नहीं था. This I'm talking about 5.5 years back.
Right. Even today, I think the tech is
Now still,
will not may not even know all that. Right.
yeah, still it's not 100% awareness is there, but I would still say it's better because startup has become kind of mainstream now, right? With the influx of Shark Tank India, 3 seasons gone, with influx of so many VCs, like we have a robust venture capital ecosystem in our nation, which needs to become much more bigger. But we have a robust system in place. Now it's just about the scale, how we can add more capital and more funds in the ecosystem, right? So that's why I started offering consulting slowly, steadily. That led to meeting new investors, new accelerators. And then, of course, we raised our first round for our startup. First deal we closed in February 2020, just before COVID hit. And COVID hit in March 2020.
Right.
But again, in April, May, we raised a round for a second startup. तो हमने वापस तब दूसरा वाला कर दिया. So that gave us a confidence कि अच्छा, even during COVID के peak, when the whole nation is shut, if we can raise funds, then we should look at this as our go-to business and try starting pivoting.
Right.
So when we were into SME IPOs, mutual funds, retail, then from April 20, May 20, the pivot started happening completely into the startup fundraising and consulting business. And till that time, I was only one person. Till May 2020, I was just one, solely managing everything. Then started hiring interns and one team member, second team member, slowly, steadily. Now, over the last few years, we are now at 15 people. So that has been the kind of the journey from where it started.
Wonderful, wonderful. It sounds very, very textbook, actually. You looked at what was missing in the market. You had the skills to fill that, and you went ahead and filled it. And
Yeah. There was nothing planned. I didn't even know, startup as a word.
right.
In early 2019 in 2018. सिर्फ सुना था, economic times में पढ़ लेते थे. But didn't know I would enter this ecosystem. But it all happened by chance, touch wood.
You spoke just now about somewhat of a robust VC ecosystem. Now, I am not yet at a point where I'm looking for funding. I'm launching my own startup. And what I have done, though, is I've networked around. I go to events. I was at the GFF in Geo Convention Center the last few days. I meet lots of investors. What I've run into, I've even done podcasts with one, a previous podcast. What I've run into is that they are more numbers driven and not so much vision driven. So by that I mean they want, the startup should have this in place, that in place, the number of users, earnings coming in, positive EBITDA, and it's well, if I have all that going on, I don't need you, almost you could say. And on the other hand, what say a startup like me would really benefit from is a visionary person who sees the vision, who sees the potential. And it's like, okay, fine, he hasn't even launched yet, or he's just launching, he doesn't have that many users. But if things are done correctly, this could become very, very big. So I'm seeing a shortage of that kind of approach here, whereas that's very much the case in the United States, where a lot of the investors are more vision focused rather than numbers and by the book. I was wondering what you thought of that.
So I think, yeah, you are right. But see, everyone has their own perspective and their limitations and their strengths, right? If you compare US VCs, that ecosystem of venture capital is at a massive scale and a very, very robust ecosystem, right? In terms of venture capital, where they want to back ideas and products which are yet not launched also. Okay. In India, because there is a lot of risk capital and free capital available in US. Okay, yes. And people have really, raised funds at 0%, negligible rate of interest from the, Fed and stuff like that, because Fed has been keeping on printing money.
Right. Well, lately the interest rates are up, though, lately, even though now.
Yeah, right now it is up since the last 1.5 years. It's at 5+%.
Yeah.
But if you go back last 15 years, there has been a quarterly easing, right?
Ever since the real estate, it was.
Yeah, ever since 2009-10, we are at 0% suboptimal rates of interest, right? There has been a lot of free capital, free printing available of USD, and because of which many people have made money. and there's a lot of free capital available in the market where people have raised funds. Some of them have gone to become unicorns and unicorns, behemoths. Some of them have not, even in US, right? Now, the point being that in India, we don't get that free capital. In India, the capital is available at 7.5, 8%. Okay, so it's not free capital. That's the first economic reason one must understand that India में मुफ्त का पैसा नहीं है जो US में है और था. In fact, US keeps printing dollars, right? Fed is talking about reduction in interest rate again. So again, US में ज़्यादा पैसा free में आएगा, घूमेगा.
Yeah, they're going to start reducing.
Yeah, so in US, if there is a recession and if there is a jobless claims, the Fed, the government gives to every jobless person $2,000 per week.
Correct.
Couriers into your in your home, in your bank account. It just puts it.
Right.
है ना? तो वैसा इंडिया में सिस्टम नहीं है. Okay, so here we get little expensive money. Okay, even when it comes from US, it becomes expensive because of the conversion to INR. Okay, because of the conversion of dollars to INR, it again becomes expensive.
But
okay,
but
so that's
for a foreign investor investing in an Indian company, let's say an American investor is investing in an Indian company, he's still getting low interest money from America, or his money in America is low interest, right? I mean, it may convert to whatever it is in rupees, but why would that become expensive? I'm a little confused.
So when you are converting from dollars to India, since our rate of exchange, right, it's $1 equals to 84 rupees.
Right.
Since the last few months, it has been constant at 83.5, 84 rupees, right?
Right.
So for that US investor, it becomes a cost when he is investing in India. So that money becomes expensive for him. Okay, and even for that Indian fund, it becomes expensive because why? The LP is a US LP. Second reason, when he is going to again take an exit from the startup, okay, when he takes exit from a startup and when he has to return the money back, okay,
right.
So there again it becomes sort of expensive because you again have to convert to dollars and try patriate back to US.
And there may be some taxes involved.
There would be taxes involved. There would be charges involved. Right? Plus the conversion of dollar to rupee becomes again 1:84. Right. So that free money wala thing is not in India, which is in USA. So that's the first economic reason we need to understand. Second is that because VC ecosystem in India are a little bit risk averse. That means that they don't want to take that high a risk or a bet on something that is not proven. Okay. Right. Historically, if you go to see, India have always been we copy the West. Right. So jab tak wo so that notion is always there that okay, what is a proven model? Okay, wo proven model ko hum back kar sakte hain.
Right.
Which is at a very idea stage. Someone will say that it's a visionary or something. Every founder calls himself or herself a visionary.
Sure.
That's but natural. But sometimes it's not possible for everyone else to see that story, right? And if I cannot see the story, I cannot back that founder. Why? Because I am myself a risk-averse investor. Okay, I am looking for people who have proven something, some proof of concept, something on the table which shows me that this person can execute. That is what I am backing. Third thing is, in India, we have a very good incubation center ecosystem. So incubation ecosystem. So every visionary founder or every founder who feels they have a breakthrough product or an idea, they should get incubated by a good incubation center, which will give them that early push. जो आइडिया को लॉन्च करने के लिए जो पुश चाहिए वो इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर देता है, वो वीसी नहीं देता इंडिया में. वीसी आपको पैसे देगा स्केल करने के लिए, आपको स्टार्ट वाला पुश देने के लिए नहीं. So one must get incubated at a very good incubation center. We have so many, I think probably 500 plus incubation centers. Get incubated, use their labs, use their R&D, use their, they'll give you grants also, 20-25 lakh के grant दे देंगे, आपको investor के सामने खड़ा करेंगे. They will have mentors mentoring you. You will be able to network with fellow other incubatees.
For the viewers, what are the typical requirements to get into an incubator? Because Incubators also select, they're somewhat selective, right? So they won't just let anyone in, or will they?
See, I'm not completely sure because we are not into that particular. I mean, someone will just have catch up. Matlab, you just share me a pitch deck. We'll take 1, 2 rounds of interview, and if we like it, it's a yes or a no. Right? Someone will have, okay, you need to give more documents, or
Right.
it could be something else, right?
Sure. Sure.
Predominantly, what I believe, as per my understanding, is that you have to give 2 to 3 rounds of interview. If they like you like them, you all both can select and get incubated there, right? इसमें ज़्यादा incubation में बहुत बड़ा चीज़ नहीं होता. You have to fill up an application form on their website or on Google Docs or something. If they like that application, they will call you for an interview, and if they like you there, maybe second round, and then close it, right? It's not very hectic. It's not very time consuming, I believe, and it's not very ultra process driven, or some heavy documentation to be done or something. But they will give you the right launch pad. That's the idea.
Sure. Sure. Just out of curiosity, what are some of the really good ones in Mumbai? Oh, you're based out of
Uh,
Mumbai, correct?
yeah. So again, I'm not completely sure because we are not into incubation center too
Oh, okay,
much
right.
day in day out. But there are many. I mean, you'll just search online, you'll just come
Sure.
to
Sure.
know, so
Sure.
many.
Sure.
So yeah.
Okay, great. So, as you coming back to your entrepreneurial journey with your uh, financial services company, what were there some characteristics you noticed of with the good startups that eventually became successful, and bad characteristics that the ones that eventually failed? Like, what are some of the things that stand out that, okay, this is going to succeed or this one's going to fail probably?
Uh, Look, I think one thing which I've noticed where people have failed is to, be very greedy in terms of valuation, but not in terms of adding value to your customer,
Got it.
right? So when valuation, increases, and value not valuation increases, but when the greed for valuation by a founder
Right.
increases, then providing for value to its customers, and then when he thinks that, okay, this valuation I should get only, even though he does not deserve, to be honest,
Right.
that's one sign which I feel that leads to a downfall of the startup. Okay, because they make valuation the north star,
Got it.
but whereas your revenues should be a north star. Your numbers speak volumes. If you have the right revenue, you will command the right valuation.
What if you're
आपको
not even,
मार्केट से ज्यादा.
what
हाँ.
if you're not even at a point where you're revenue generating? You're still at the sort of, you've just released and you haven't yet monetized. Should is a company like that, should they even stand in front of an investor, or there's no hope?
I think you should not. What I think one should do at that stage is to develop relationships with investor.
Okay.
Go and meet them, take them out for coffee or dinner. Go on a date with them. Like, you need to date them. Don't get into a relationship right now. Don't marry that investor right away.
Got it.
Understand. Seek mentoring from them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this I say it to a lot of my mentees that don't seek investment immediately when you are at this kind of a stage of product development, creating your product, or maybe early proof of concept. You need to go and date many investors.
Right.
Okay. Out of that many investors, like, create good relationships with them. See, going to events and all is like a one-off. That investor also wouldn't have time in the event. Most investors don't even come for all the
Oh,
events.
sure. There you just exchange cards, then you follow through later on.
Yeah. So you follow through. Meet them at the office. Don't waste a lot of time because investors' time is very valuable.
Right.
You meet them for 30 minutes. Create friendships with them. Create a relationship with them. Don't seek for money because you know it, they know it. They're not going to fund you right now.
Sure.
So don't ask,
Right.
but ask for value.
So when should a startup company think about standing in front of an investor and asking for investment? At what stage do they need to be uh,
I
typically?
think one should at least be having some kind of, one as an MVP. Second is having some kind of traction in revenues to showcase the executional capabilities of that founder and to showcase that, okay, there is a genuine need in the market, which is why my product is working. People are paying for it.
Mhm.
I also say in my books, at least I would say कि अगर आप free का कुछ दे रहे हो, so that is nothing meant to me.
Right.
Okay,
But
because for me, revenue is very important.
correct.
Whether people are being able to pay for your product or your service.
Well, in the case of a tech company, and that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm running into. That's what my plan, anyway, is to launch without any monetization and focus on user growth, and eventually, based on user behavior and user feedback, put in some monetization, and then monetization will happen. So the point is the runway is longer. Like if a non-tech startup, fine, you charge the customer on the first day, and you made some money. Whether you are positive EBITDA or not is another story, but you earned something. You had some gross earnings. In my case, the gross earnings aren't even going to happen for a long time. So uh, does that mean that long time only is when I can get anything from an investor?
At least in my books, it would be different. VCs would have a different perspective.
Okay.
Some VCs don't mind backing a user growth or a user based app or
Right.
a product.
Let me sort of refine the question a little better. Let's say my startup is getting a lot of users, but I haven't monetized it yet. But I do have a solid users base as well
How
as
many?
uh, I don't know 10 to 100,000 users with active, good amount of users coming in every day,
Okay.
repeat users. Now, I don't have any
Okay.
gross earnings, but I can at least say, hey, users are coming and they are recurring as well. They're coming back and using the app repeatedly.
Okay.
It's not just that they came in once and then went away and never came back. What would be the scenario for a startup like that in the investment world?
That's what I'm saying. See, again, different VCs have different perspectives.
Sure,
Some
sure,
VCs don't mind backing a 100,000 user
sure.
app with a small check size. Some VCs would want to see revenues and how you are being able to monetize, because at the end of the day, money is only going to justify that valuation. Or if you can make money on those users, then only it will make sense. Whether there's a business model use case scenario or not, or
Sure,
whether it is just an app जहाँ पे user आके खेल के चले जाते हैं,
sure.
you know. So at the end of the day, there should be a business model which can be made out of this. Some VCs are willing to take a bet कि अच्छा चलो ठीक है, you will be able to generate revenue after 6 months. Okay, so it's okay. I don't mind to wait,
Sure, sure.
you know.
So,
But I have good conviction in this model that it is a good business model and I can make some good money.
so would you say something like if that is a tech startup, startup specific VCs would be maybe more open to that as opposed to VCs who are more into like the non-tech or FMCG or whatever, some other.
Yeah, for sure. Yes,
Right.
yes,
So someone like
absolutely.
me needs to go to no, you said date a bunch of VCs before you marry them, but I think even in the dating process, be selective. So I will date and select VCs to have coffee or dinner with that are really tech VCs as opposed to the non-tech VCs.
Yeah, you must do that.
Yeah.
And it's no harm in dating a non-tech VC also.
Right.
You might get some other world experience.
Sure. Sure.
But yeah, of course, preferably you should do like a tech VC.
Primarily.
But yeah, primarily tech. But even non-tech is fine. It's always good to have friends from that ecosystem.
Okay.
So that's also absolutely fine, right? You can narrow it down. No doubts about it.
Right, and that would be the course of action. Yeah, same thing probably for the incubator. Go for an incubator that's tech specific as opposed to non-tech specific.
Correct.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right, right.
Yes.
All right.